All right. I want to just follow up since you mentioned the spending and spending versus revenue. The debate goes on between whether the state's fiscal problems are indeed the result of increased spending or lack of additional revenue. If you believe it's a spending problem, where do you cut back? And if it's a lack of revenue, what source of revenue would you pursue? And I'll start with you, Fenton, 3 minutes.
Well, I clearly believe that it's a spending problem. We have had a 24% increase. Like I said, our budget went from 9.3 to 11.5 billion. Those are the numbers. The facts are there. So looking at that, one of the areas that I think we should consider is we should go back to the 2006-2007 budget, use that as a benchmark. I don't think we should use an inflated, a bloated 24% increased budget as the benchmark. We should go back to the 2006-2007 budget, adjust it to inflation, that alone, just taking the numbers as I did from the federal cost of living website would save us about $800 million in a budget cycle. Now, I'm not proposing that we go and exact across the board. I think we have to look at that in a piece-by-piece area and very carefully evaluate those areas. I'll give you another example of an area I believe we can reduce spending and reduce it substantially without cutting services, and that is our state has we are 37th in the nation in our Medicaid costs. Again, first being best and 50th being worst. If we brought our state to the median, to 25th, we would save between $150 and $300 million a year, and that's for not reducing the services but managing the services so that people, for example, if they have a cold or are afraid of having pneumonia, they go to a freestanding clinic instead of the emergency room. Cost $180 or $120 instead of $800. It's things like that that we can do, and we can do without reducing services for essential areas.
Jackie, I'll give you 3 minutes to answer that question as well.
Thank you very much. I absolutely, there are areas that we agree wholeheartedly in, that we can do things more cost efficiently and effectively. It's something that I've fought for the last 4 years with some of the procurement legislation that I've brought through. I've been through lean training. We have at least 3 departments. In fact, I think we have somebody here from the DES tonight that would talk about, the lean training that's been being implemented at that department, in our Department of Administration, and also with the GELCAR process. There are only so many efficiencies that you can wring out of a system. Given that we are the 4th lowest spending state in the country, I mean, we can get to number 1, but when we do, we're going to start affecting businesses. And if my opponent wants to roll back to 2006, I'd say we've got some problems. Somersworth will lose over $1 million in school aid. Rochester will lose over $5 million in school aid. We'll reinstitute the developmental disabilities wait list, and which, we were court mandated to put into place. There were all kinds of fun things going on in 2006. My opponent's party was using tens of millions of dollars of Medicaid money to balance the books. They were hiding a lot of money that came in from the feds going through our fiscal committee. We've had a little truth in advertising over the last 4 years. So I don't think 2006 was exactly the stellar year to use as the benchmark, but, he can do that if he wants. I think the numbers prove him wrong. As far as the spending problem, we have cut and cut and cut and cut, and we're hearing it. We've closed courts. We've closed the Laconia State School. By the way, these are from Mark Fernald's article because they've been verified by a couple of other sources. We closed the Toby School. We've reduced funding for the developmentally disabled wait list by $2 million, and yet, thankfully, did not put any further people at risk. We've cut the state workforce by 5%, laying off 200 workers and shutting down 400 positions that can't be filled at the moment. We cut $1 million from the payment of the Children's Hospital at Dartmouth Medical, required retirees over the age of 65 to contribute to their health care. I could go on. We've made some very difficult decisions, and I can tell you I was there. I had to get those phone calls every day. I had to get those emails every day. I had to open that mail. It was not a pleasant process. It was difficult, and it was hard, and we made those decisions. I'd still like to hear where else he'd like to cut.
Thank you, Jackie. This is for both of the candidates, and we'll start with Fenton on this one first. From a voter in Somersworth, would you support a sales or income tax?
No, I would not, and I've made that very clear in my opening statement.
Jackie?
Thank you very much. I've been accused of not taking the pledge. In fact, I've been accused by my opponent of warming up. You know, this has been going on for 6 years. I was accused of being, you know, a tax and spend liberal, and I was going to institute a, you know, income tax as soon as I got into the House 6 years ago. I was accused 4 years ago of being a tax and spend liberal, that I was going to institute an income tax or a sales tax as soon as I got into the Senate. I was accused last time, and now I'm accused again. You know, I don't know how many times you can say something that if it doesn't come true, what do you do with that information? But, you know, I'm ready for 2 years from now if, you know, I run again. So it hasn't happened. I said I take my marching orders from this district. I will honor the wishes of this district. I have heard from myriad people, and we're talking business people that have a huge stake in this, that they want to have a discussion about what tax system is fair. At a big event a couple of weeks ago, somebody said, are you going to continue to allow especially our elderly, to shoulder the burden with higher property taxes and businesses to take it on the chin? And by the way, virtually every business tax that was put into place under the Republican majority. In fact, the BET, which is indeed, by the way, folks, an income tax, was put into place in the recession of 1992. Not by Democrats, because we've only been in power for 4 years. Okay? So, you know, my pledge is to honor the wishes of this district.
All right. Thank you very much for that answer.